Hi, Unwin, and I'm a composer. Well, I always knew I was going to write music for television since I was very young. From about 11, that's all I really wanted to do. So I started composing music from when I was 11, and that was all I ever knew I was going to do, and that's all I ever did. You can change the entire feel of a program just based on the music. This is why it's very important. We have what are called spotting sessions, where the composer sits down with the director or the producer, and we kind of go through scene by scene, and the question essentially is what are you trying to say with these pictures, and you have to make that happen. A lot of the time, all you're doing is supporting the picture. The pictures are telling the story, and all you're doing essentially is supporting what's going on. And there's an art to supporting and not taking over. I know lots of amazing musicians who write amazing music, but they can't write for TV and film because it's almost like a kind of control element. You have to kind of, wherever you want to go, you have to kind of then pull back slightly so that the pictures take the lead and that the music is supporting. There are other moments where, you know, kind of the director will turn around and say, okay, this is your moment, you've now got 2 minutes, at which point you then just write, you know, the world's your oyster, you write whatever you want to write. But essentially there's a lot of control that has to go into making it work with the picture. I think the easiest way of doing it is when a girlfriend came in and said, you know, kind of, I just met her, and what do you do? And went into the studio, and it's the easiest way of doing it is to watch this film, and you watch it without the music, and it may be fine, and it may do a job, and you then put the music underneath it, and it can completely change everything, absolutely everything. You know, you can make people cry, you can make people sad and happy and whatever. The core of my commissions all come from the BBC. All of the work that I'm probably proudest of has all come from the BBC. And I don't know whether that's in terms of the briefs they give, the programmes that I get offered, I don't know, but I can honestly say that the best work that I've done has always come through the BBC. It's always, for me, it's like coming home. Every time I have to come and work on a BBC project, it really is just kind of coming home for me. Production music compared to writing to commission, it's a different way of writing. You're not limited by the picture. You're not limited by what the director wants. Essentially, you can go off on a flight of fancy if you want to. Obviously, within the constraints of whatever the theme or style is that you've got to write in. But essentially, in terms of structure and in terms of thematic, it's a freer medium to write in. Obviously, the other good thing that you do have to apply, though, is that you have to make it the material easy to play with after the event. You have to make it easy to edit for the editor. You have to make it so that you have the core elements, which are essentially, it has to get from A to B. It has to go somewhere. You have to have moments. But you have to give it sections where it can be manipulated and it can fit the picture better. But you have to be careful not to make it too specific, because obviously that limits how much it can be used. So there's a kind of generic theme that has to run through it. But you know, kind of it's enjoyable to write, and I think it's, you know, trying to make it easy to work with is actually it's a challenge in itself, but it's fun. Using BBC production music over commissioning. Obviously, financial-wise, you have to understand from their point of view, there are certain productions that desperately want you, but they don't have the money, because obviously, you know, kind of composers aren't cheap, really, and so they want to use your music, but they can't afford to. And it's at times like that where being able to actually give them something from BBC production means that they can get you, but they just don't get you quite so bespoke, essentially. But what, you know, if you've got enough range within the stuff that you've done anyway, the fact that they get what they want, but with slightly, and it is only slightly, less versatility, I think everyone kind of wins, because at the end of the day, everyone's happy, and they still get my music on the project, and they get what they want.